Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Jules and I am incredibly out of practice at filming videos. So I was going to do a different type of video today, but I decided that to ease myself back into filming, I would give you a sketchbook tour. I filled this sketchbook between the May 23 and February 24, so this is over a year, just under a year's worth of work in here, and it really has been through the wars. So it started out with this nice gold embossing on here, but it's sort of gradually worn off as I've used it. And to be honest, I really love that. It's a little damp because I just cleaned my desk. Bonuses of YouTube makes you clean your desk. So anyway, let's go through the sketchbook today, and I'll talk with you a little bit about what I liked about it and maybe some things that I've learned along the way. If you're interested, this is a Royal Talens Art Creations sketchbook, as is so favoured by so many people. You can see just there the logo, and it's one of the ones with white paper. So they're very famous for having this cream coloured paper, the Royal Talens Art Creations sketchbooks, that very famous here on YouTube. A lot of artists use them because they're great value. But then they came out with a line which had white paper in, and this is my first experience using that. So I can't remember what's in here. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay, so first page, I just did some colour swatches. So these were my sort of favourite Roman Schmall watercolours, I think, and then I just tried to match them up with some coloured pencils that I have. These were my Derwent Lightfast coloured pencils, mostly, I think. Just like these ones here that I put on the left for pretty. I didn't put the dates in because I always put the dates on the spine anyway. I think that the start date was a little bit of a guess. But anyway, the first page is always a bit scary. I started the sketchbook when I started this course in some Domestika course about creating fantasy creatures from natural forms or something. So this was like some of the exercises from this using watercolor on this paper. I don't really love using watercolor on this paper, if I'm honest, but that's what those are from. And then these are some more exercises from this course. You can tell I much prefer drawing to painting. I'm much more comfortable drawing than painting. That's what I should say. So these were some studies of some sort of natural forms that I found on a walk, I think, and then I turned them into this little guy who I think is very cute, and I really enjoyed the process of this. I'd recommend that course. I don't think I finished it, but this part was really good. It really encouraged me to do something different, as you can see. This was also from the course, I think, doing studies from the resources they provided on like drawing different animal parts, different plant parts, and how you could then combine them. I think my favourite is this little eye down here. I think that's really, and the frog as well. I've got back into doing this sort of thing recently, but I haven't really messed around with rendering like this. So it's interesting. This was like a little watercolour haul. I think this was some watercolours I picked up in the Netherlands one time, if I remember correctly, which is why they're a little bit messy, the swatches. I was probably doing this in my boyfriend's place using whatever I had to hand. I really like doing sketchbook tours, not just because people like them, and I like to watch them as well, but because they're such a snapshot of the time that you spent. I think I remember doing this at maybe one of the first, this was May 2023. This might have been one of the first meetups. We started going to meetup groups in my city, and I may have done this, or this was on the train. Just these abstract color palette tests, and this sort of red clover. Really like the rendering of this. I think I realized I really like plant shapes. I think I did these in my city, just sitting in a park and drawing the pigeons. I think I just blobbed this with Ecoline marker and then did the pencil lines around the edge. Random studies of sort of, I think these were from like Scandinavian posters or marketing or something. I think this was somebody on the train. I just did with my Pentel pocket brush pen. And I was like testing out what kind of letter forms you could get using that brush, which I think are quite fun actually. Hand studies, this one's mine, I can tell because it looks like my hand. You see this, except less calluses. I have very square hands, kind of unmistakable. I was just practicing some posing. I don't think I'm the worst at drawing hands. I certainly don't find them that annoying. I just kind of I accept when they don't work out. Grey brush pen, plant pots. Another set of paints. This may have been back when I had that haul from the art store, which had a great deal on the Schminke tube watercolors. I think that's my suspicion. That's where those came from. I think this was just trying to loosen up these like graphite just marks, just trying to get the sense of line. I think when you see pages like this, it's easy to be like, oh, what a waste of paper, or oh, this is like, I'm really going nowhere. But you have to just kind of have faith that everything that you draw helps you draw more like yourself, or in a certain way, or just you learn every time, even if you don't think you do. I really did enjoy this paper. It's very smooth, quite thin, so I didn't feel too precious about the sketchbook. Did some studies of some sort of old knotted wood. I've also discovered that I just really like drawing in graphite. I think graphite is one of my favourite mediums. And these were studies from the illustrations from Antarctic expeditions, I believe, from Joseph Dalton Hooker in the 1800s. He did these wonderful illustrations of all of the flora that they found there. And if you're wondering why these pages are stained, it's because I can't remember where I saw it now. It's probably in YouTube somewhere. But somebody suggested that you could paint over your pages with watercolour when you have graphite on them, and then the graphite smudges less. And I think that I found this to be anecdotally true, and it also gives your pages a fun tint. So I think I did that quite a bit. This was another page like this, more Joseph Dalton Hooker studies, I think. This is a nice spread. I think this might be my favourite spread in the whole book. I would like a print of these pages. I did not paint over this because the background here is water-soluble graphite. It was like one of these sticks like this, so I could get really thick marks. And I just went over the background to really like do some negative space on these ones. I guess I was trying out something different. Just more studies, lots of detail in this one. Lots and lots. These sort of pea pods. A little bit abstract, sort of microscopic diagrams or something. Maybe these were some, I found some books on when they were studying pollen, and there was lots of different shapes of pollen. This definitely looks like a cross section of something on a cellular level. And some bug. I don't know. I don't remember this bug, where I got it from, but he's kind of cool. Lots of missed pages. You can tell I'm not feeling precious about this sketchbook. I really just decided that I didn't care about this one. This was, I think I started this back when I still had like a main sketchbook maybe, or I was in the transition to using smaller sketchbooks, which is what I'm doing right now. I use my smaller sketchbooks in a much less precious way. This is a study of a tree that I did when I was in Lyon on a conference. I just sat in the park and drew this tree. I'm back to doing tree studies that look more or less exactly like this now, which is kind of funny when it comes full circle. I think I did this sketch in a video, and I think somebody told me that they thought I should use more smooth and complete lines, and they're probably correct that I could work on that, but honestly, I kind of like how it looks. So, you know, each their own. Maybe I'm not technically the best at drawing, but this is how I like to render things for now. I'm sure I'll improve with time. This was when I went to Copenhagen with my partner directly after I went to Lyon. So this would have been in between Lyon and Copenhagen, this page. And I took my Neocolors and I went to the palm house in the Copenhagen Botanic Gardens, and I just drew leaf shapes with this. So super messy, just Neocolors and then just graphite pencil to draw around them. Kind of a total disaster, to be honest. But I guess there's some fun shapes in there somewhere, and certainly loose. And drew these in a cafe in Copenhagen, I remember. It's not that that's significant to the content, but those were some mineral structures, some crystal shapes, and then maybe these were some pictures I took because we went to the Natural History Museum actually as well. So I probably took these and then drew from my pictures. And then this was, I think, a cross-section of some bamboo stalks or something that I found on Pinterest and decided to draw. Really like these shapes as well. Sorry if anybody has any problems with this sort of shape. And then on the way home from Copenhagen, we went to the aquarium. Can highly recommend the Copenhagen Aquarium. It's really good there. And these were some fish that I drew. Again, just using Neocolor. And I'm just standing up and holding the sketchbook, right? So I'm not really... And the fish are moving, so I'm just drawing what I can see. And I love how bad they look. But I also just find them so funny. I think these would make excellent tattoos. Like, I think just the dumbest fish. And there's so many of them, and they're so quick to draw. And I think going to aquariums and drawing fish badly is one of my favourite pastimes. Though they do have like a certain style to them, don't they? You know, you can't say that they're like... They look bad, but they kind of look deliberately bad. And that's what I like about them. I like the patterns on this guy. So that was all I drew at the aquarium. And then, oh yeah, I went and got some Inktense pencils. So these are the Inktense pencils that I bought, and I was swatching them on the train. And I remember because I dropped my paintbrush in my water bottle that I was using, which is why this one is really messy, because I basically had to do it with my finger because I didn't want to leave it unwet. And then this one is when I managed to get my paintbrush out of my water bottle after spilling my water, half of it, like all over the floor of the train. So if you wanted a little anecdote behind this page, I really like this lapis blue. I think that's a really beautiful blue. And I was trying out some mixes with them as well. Like I say, a lot of blank pages, but I don't stress it. Organic shapes, just sketching. I think this was using the new Inktense pencils. And this is just a sketch of a passion flower. And then I use the Inktense pencils for the background. Quite like that too. Some more realistic style fish sketches in graphite. Just really love graphite. I mean, I've tried to use all sorts of things for drawing really, but in the end, there's nothing that compares to that very smooth feeling of graphite on paper. But I really like these little fish sketches. Some kind of pose studies. I think these were just from Pinterest. I'm not very good at drawing people, but I think some of these look vaguely like they could be human. So I'll take that. It's not really my focus. I quite like this guy's face. I think that he really looks like a kid, which can be sometimes hard to indicate. Some snakes. I think I was planning on doing something else with these later, but then I didn't. Got some Ecoline liquid watercolours, and I think this was like the sand yellow and ultramarine violet, and then the sort of burgundy or red brown or something. And I was just trying out the layering and mixing, and I did this little bird sketch. And these were from an Odd Orange drawing session. So if you don't know about Odd Orange, it's this company run by Morgan Grice. They make sketchbooks. And they're really beautiful sketchbooks. I don't own one because, to be honest, I just don't need any more sketchbooks right now. But I highly recommend them. I've only heard good things. But they run these drawing sessions, I think twice a month or so. One of them is free and the other one is paid. And I think I was doing this one when a friend was visiting, actually, which is why I was using this sketchbook rather than like a bigger one, because we were sitting on my sofa. So these were drawings like from National Geographic postcards or something, I think. Quite like this picture of this woman with two kids which are dressed up all for the snow. She looks quite smug though. Not quite sure if she looked like that smug in reality. And this picture of a woman on a beach, and the shadows were this lovely blue colour, so I really wanted to capture that, I remember. And these are timed drawings, so you can see that the 12 in the corner there probably means I had 12 minutes to draw it. Yeah, because this one was 15. But some of them are really quick, and then they get really, really loose. So back to something a bit tighter. I'm going to cover this guy up because he's a little bit, I don't know what YouTubers like these days. This is from this manuscript about alchemy, written by this guy. And I was just doing some studies of this. So I've got this sort of whale creature wrapped around an anchor. I really love this style of drawing, and I've done a lot of it in the past. I didn't magically get good at it. First of all, I'm copying. And second of all, I've had a lot of practice. This guy, vibing in a cornfield with no hands. Donkey, playing a trumpet and sitting on a hat with a cornucopia or something. And this guy, who's really going for it, like the full one-man band. I know there's like a whole lot of lore behind this, but I think I was just practicing practicing the style and really enjoying getting into this. This is possibly my longest running artistic interest, by the way, like this style of drawing. I think I've been doing it like ever since I got into drawing, really. Just a couple more things in bottles come up in alchemical manuscripts quite often. And then this was when I started doing this project where I wanted to draw medieval versions, so like in this sort of style of Pokemon. So this was what I did for Bulbasaur, and this is just in fine liner, just in sepia coloured fine liner, I think. I like the Sakura Micron ones. I also tried, usually I'm a Unipen person, but I think that their sepia ink isn't as saturated as I would like, so I like the Micron sepia for these drawings. And I also did Ivysaur. And the reason that I didn't draw on this page, as in on the back of this page, is because I wanted to be able to trace it onto something else later, so I didn't want to have to compete with another image on this page. Ivysaur. I really like how these turned out, by the way. I think that the Bulbasaur and the Ivysaur, they really do look like if Pokemon existed in the medieval times. This is also very good. This is obviously Venusaur. Full flower. Just really like, and I'm really quite proud of my hatching and stuff here. This was an attempt at Charmander, I think. And this is where this project ended, because he looks so bad. Everything about him looks weirdly seductive. Why is he so round? The problem with Charmander is that he doesn't have any features. Like, he's just a round, bold blob, and I was trying to stylize it into something. So I found this interesting sort of pose. It didn't work out. I ended up just dropping the whole project for months. Some sketches of some orchids. But just to say, you know, I have gone back to this since, but it's definitely, you know, it's going to be a long work in progress. But I did finish these, and I made a post on my Instagram, I think, with those. You should check out my Instagram. I'll link it in the video description. I've been trying to be a bit more active on there lately. Drew some orchids just in graphite, sort of thinking about maybe doing some kind of scientific illustration project. I really like the quality of line on this little guy. Not necessarily it's obviously incomplete, but I like how I was drawing it. Yeah, you can see I was thinking about how I would label the different parts and how I would do this in there. I'm sort of trying to develop a style when it comes to that. And also it's like some lettering. So this was like the inner part of the orchid, like the reproductive part. I think they're really cool. I think I was using ChatGPT to come up with illustration projects, and that's why I was doing that. This was from another Odd Orange drawing session. I think I was using watercolour in a different sketchbook for this, or on some loose paper, and then these were just in this oil-based pencil, so they're just really black. I think it was like autumn foliage or something. And then this was not from the drawing session, just another sort of tree study. I can't remember if this was from observation or if I just made this up. Chances are it's from observation, either from a photo or from life. Oh no, this must have been... This was when I went on a trip to Belgium to go be a hermit for a couple of days and just go hiking. I remember doing that now, because when I look at these ones... This was from a friend's Instagram story. She'd taken a picture looking up at these sort of skeletal trees, and I really liked how they looked. And so I did like a little sketch of them. Got some new acrylic inks. I don't really use acrylic ink much, but if I ever feel like it, then I sure have a lot to get on with. This was like this. I love this muted pink, and this yellow is a little bit less bright in reality. Just doing some fun little sketches, like little sort of vaguely mystical drawings. Just sort of filling up the sketchbook, to be honest. It's one of those things where you just feel like you want to draw, don't know what to draw. This is what I tend to draw. It's not really a great use of the page or particularly aesthetic, but this is what my real sketchbook looks like. So maybe this helps some people. I think I was warming up at this point. I think I did all these on the same day. So you can see that I started out with like really basic sort of shapes and not really sure what I was doing. And then got these rose hips and this snake that had been sliced. And trying to experiment with slicing other things. Sliced a bunny. I wouldn't do this in real life, of course. I like these oak leaves and the shading on the leaves behind them. And there's some kind of wasp with shooting stars. Would love to know what was going on there, Jules. And pomegranates. Everyone loves pomegranates. I think This was a challenge where I asked somebody. I think I drew this without reference, which is a lot for me because I cannot see pictures in my head very well. So I was trying to draw a shrimp without reference, and this is what it turned out like. I would say that shrimp don't really look like this very much, but yeah. This was a study of like a liverwort or something that I did in my favourite Derwent drawing, Derwent Lightfast. I should really get that right. In strawberry. I think it's one of these. Yeah, this one is the colour. I really love it. It's like a very unusual, slightly muted red. But this is one of my favourite colours by them. Gourd shapes. Did this as sketches for the Gourd video that I did back last year. And then I think I was drawing these from my boyfriend is really into aquariums, but like at home. What do they call them? Fish tanks. And he has like some books on fish, and so I was drawing from his books on fish. I think he's actually going to get a fish tank this year, so maybe you'll see more fish drawings from me. And there's some more drawings of the fish. Maybe I was having a bad day. I think I was having a bad day, and I asked him to tell me what to draw, and he was like, draw some fish. He was correct. They helped. This was on the train on the way home, more sort of cellular structure diagrams, just in this, probably the Tombow brush pen, like the Goodness, okay. And then we enter my pattern era. I had like this black and white pattern that I drew, and then I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do this in colour? And so I did it in colour, but it's like a fun way to mess around with colour palettes, like how the colours sit next to each other. So this was just these four colours, just repeated this pattern. I think it's quite nice. I think these would make great like prints for fabric or something. And these grids were all just hand drawn, by the way. I don't use like a ruler for this stuff. And they're actually really wonky, but they don't look that wonky when they've got a pattern in. That's my tip for you. This was me brainstorming for my Christmas cards last year. I think there was quite a long break in this sketchbook at some point, trying to decide. I ended up doing all of these actually, I think. I really like this candle and this scene in sort of ultramarine pencil. Experimenting with noodle letters, another pattern study. Quite like these four colours together. I wouldn't normally have done that. I think these swatches were me just trying to pick a green to go with the other three colours. Just some kind of very folk arty flower, really filling the page. I like that about it, and I like these stars. A lot of people draw these stars around, but I do find them very fun to draw. And then these were 4 new colours or something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even new colours that I got. I think I drew this in a cafe in the Netherlands one after we went to the art supply shop. My boyfriend very, very gracefully came with me and stood around while I was looking at pencils. More ideas for Christmas cards. Just I really had focused down on this idea of like a circle with a thing and then the star shape around the thing at this point. I can't remember if I have any pictures of those, but this is the sort of design I ended up going with, but I did it in metallic paints. And this was all of my Derwent Lightfast pencils at the time. I think I was just swatching them all out. I've since bought more, of course, because I can't be stopped. Text ideas. This ink is not waterproof, apparently. Don't know what it was. This is the Pentel pocket brush pen that was kind of running out. I really like this. Started text, but currently I replaced the cartridge, so it doesn't look like that anymore. Ideas for patterns and another pattern colour study. I think I like these colours, but I wish that the purple and the brown were slightly different values, because when they're on top of each other, you can't really see them. Folk art flowers. I think I was copying from Pinterest, but just sort of trying to learn in my head like the good shapes to follow. Just pencil. And then the same thing, I think these were studies from Pinterest of moths that somebody drew and like the patterns. I'm not very good at drawing moths. I don't like drawing symmetrical things, but I do like these. This was around Christmas time because my boyfriend bought me this book about, I can't remember what it's called now. It's one of these reference books. Oh yeah, Cabinet of Natural Curiosities is the name of the book. And so I was doing some sketches of these sort of specimens that they had and some illustrations. Like there was this shell with sort of these limpets and little worms and stuff on. Really enjoyed drawing those. Christmas Day must be. And these were also drawn then when we were at his. Just pencil. Just figuring out lines. These were tree trunks that I found on Pinterest. I didn't realise I've had such an obsession with these, but actually in my current sketchbook I'm still drawing trees and tree bark and still sketching in graphite, and for someone who owns a lot of art supplies, I sure do use just like one pencil a lot. That's always how it is. More fish. You can tell I was at his because I'm drawing fish from his fish books, because I don't have any fish books. Makes them quite novel. I do just like drawing these fish in brush pen. Using 2 of my Don't Want Light Fast pencils and doing some kind of abstract swirly whirly pattern. This almost looks like a topology map or something. Topography? Whatever they put, those lines they put on maps. Ah! The return of the Charmander. Much less sexy this time, you see. It only took me like 6 months, I think, from before. When you remember when I gave up on him before. Where was it? Oh, it was after here. So this is what we had before. And this was the reimagining, which I think is much better. So I'd done these sort of like little sketches, and then this was the more final version. I didn't do a coloured version of it yet, but we sort of broke the curse on the Pokemon project before this sketchbook was over, so that's good. I was drawing Charmeleon, practicing his shapes. Guess I'll have to do his next. Have to make them all sort of fit with the same theme. And these were some more illustrations, probably just from one of my Pinterest boards. Some kind of medieval frog. I love the flow of this bird, his beak. It's very like circular, probably from an old manuscript. And some snails. I like snails. I should draw snails more often. Dumb stuff. Bugs. This ladybug with lipstick walking a little centipede. The Duolingo owl is apparently having a moment. And this is the dog of somebody I know. And she looks a little bit more graceful than this in real life, but I think it's quite a good reimagining, to be honest. And a loaf cat. Some more just random doodles. Quite like this guy. Not sure what's going on here, but I think I was just in a bit of an art block again and just needed to doodle to get it out. Pinky in the brain or something. Some fruits and vegetables. I think I was just drawing them for fun. I quite like these radishes though. The others I'm not so sure about. And then this was me trying to figure out which colours I would use in my next sketchbook, because I had this idea to use like a limited colour palette. I had this big colour palette project, of course. If you haven't seen that video on my channel, I highly recommend checking it out. It's one of my favourite things that I've ever done. But I wanted to pick some coloured pencils to focus on, so I was looking for like just a set of fun sketching colours. So I did try this. I'm not sure I really stuck to it, but that's probably because I've just been using graphite so much. And so this was the colours that I chose in the end. And then I was experimenting with layering them, and these were watercolour swatches. I can't remember if they came before or after, or if I was trying to pick limited palette for this. I think these are the paints which are in my little art toolkit palette that I don't know where it is right now, which is a little bit distressing. And then this was really the end of the sketchbook, doing a little bit of a brainstorm, like things I wanted to draw more of. And the first thing on here is Brian Froud Studies. Brian Froud is an illustrator who has done some amazing work and really one of the most inspiring figures from my childhood when I think about his art. And this is a study of something that he drew. He drew these really sort of creepy looking goblins and fairies and all kinds of fun fantasy creatures. So I decided I would do a little study of this. This is just using an earth green pencil, I think. I quite like how I managed to get some depth in here, considering that it's quite a light valued pencil. This was just experimenting with just using watercolour to sketch, I think. I think I was using some new brushes and just really experimenting with from a book which my dad got me. So I think this was the day before my birthday, and I'd opened my birthday presents early, and this was illustrations from Ernst Haeckel, and this is another book of like lovely reference images, and I was just drawing some shapes from the book just directly using watercolour. And just some more shapes from the book, I think, including this little worm, but I did them in pencil instead. And some little sort of very simple landscape studies. I do have this feeling that it would be nice to do, this was my birthday, so I put like this thing around. So did I finish this on my birthday? No, not quite. That would have been poetic, wouldn't it? But one of the last pages in here. Thank you for sticking with me through all of this. I think I was just trying to fill this sketchbook up in the end. Did like a study of a doorway. I love doors and windows. Different ways to represent the sun, probably also from Pinterest. Just ideas on how to illustrate stuff like that. And I think these were ideas for just panel layouts. So like how to split up a rectangle so you could have like different shapes with different content in. And I just did a bunch of these at the end. They almost look like stained glass windows or doors or something. And then this was testing a new fountain pen, I think. And just some colour swatches at the end. And some of the watercolour paints that I bought during the process of using the sketchbook or afterwards, or I don't know. Anyway, just a record of all these Roman small paints that I bought. I really love these colour swatches at the end. I think this is what I was using to try and pick which colours I would buy. But anyway, that's it. Half an hour straight. That's not bad, is it? Thank you for coming with me on the sketchbook tour. You'll have to let me know which was your favourite page, if you relate to any of the things that you saw here, how your sketchbook practice has changed over time. As you can see, this little guy has been to like 5 different countries with me at this point. So yeah, me and the sketchbook, we've been a long way together, and I'm really grateful to be able to share it with you all. If you did enjoy the video, please do leave it a like and a subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video. And don't forget to check out my other sketchbook tours if you like this one. Thanks so much everybody for watching. Bye!